But this is the news. Starting in 2025, Australia will begin taxing unrealized gains in employee pension fund accounts with balances over 3 million Australian dollars or 2 million US dollars. So Australia will begin taxing unrealized gains in an employee pension fund accounts. That's how desperate they are right now. That's how desperate. Because you have to look at this a couple different ways. First of all, an employee pension fund, that's pretty much an extension of their scam that they got going on, the pension funds. Because every week, not only do they take half of your income for taxes and whatever else they got going on, carbon tax, I don't know. I don't get a paycheck anymore. But you also pay into a pension, and that's just funding their system. That's all that's doing. It's keeping their system going. You're paying now for the people who are retired, and you're probably not going to have access to that. So if you're somebody, especially in your 20s, 30s, 40s, still paying into a pension, find a way to get out of it, or find a way at least to allocate it to companies associated with Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, Semlar, Bitcoin ETF, a mining company. I wouldn't suggest it, but mining company. So that's one part of it, is the scam that pensions are. But the second part there, and this is what's crazy that's happening right now, because something similar in Canada as well is going on with the unrealized gains. So think about what an unrealized gain is. Think about why you have a gain in the world right now. So let's say you bought a stock, or you've been paying into a pension that's bought stocks for the last 20 years. And some of those stocks you bought at a low price, they've gone up to a high price. Some of them have become more valuable. Some of them have just gone up with the market because there's so much inflation in the world. So your investments have gone up, barely keeping up with inflation. Most aren't right now. So they've gone up. And the reason they've gone up is because the government's printed so much money. It's not like these companies are doing extremely well right now and very valuable. There's like 3 of them that are in the world. So these pensions, these assets, these houses have gone up in value for one reason only, because the government printed too much money. And because the government printed too much money, they're actually going to tax you now, not only on the realized gains, when you cash out, when you sell your stocks, when you sell your rental house, they're taxing you on the realized, but now they're going after the unrealized amounts that you don't even have in your bank account. So you got $3 million in your pension fund, unrealized. You haven't cashed those out, but you're gonna have to start paying tax on that without even selling the asset and having the proceeds of the sale in your bank account. You're gonna be paying tax for that. It's nuts. It's nuts what's happening, and it's nuts that most people are completely fucking oblivious to it. And I apologize for the swearing. But man, what a stupid world. Okay, Craig says, anybody have the issue with Zapdos stream where the stream suddenly jumps back to an earlier part and repeats what you already heard? Like it's longer live. Happens quite a bit. Well, that's not good. Hopefully, whenever things aren't working, just like the old reset button, I just like to hit the refresh. Usually works. I'm sure Craig's tried that, but if not, give that a spin. Yeah, RJ says taxing unrealized gains is obviously crazy. I can't believe anybody is seriously talking about it. It's nuts. It's crazy to me that people aren't talking about it. People aren't pulling to Venezuela and doing something about what's happening here. Bitcoin Boomer says, glass half full, taxing unrealized gains should drive more. I'm not sure what it would drive more of, though. That's the thing for me. Because when you're taxing people's unrealized gains, you're taking money from their account that they don't even have yet. They have not got the proceeds from the sale of their transactions. Number one, you should not be taxed on that, because the only reason that these assets are going up in value is because the government's printing too much money. So they're going further into debt. They have larger interest obligations. They require more taxes. And so they're printing more, inflating the assets, and they're taxing you on that increase. A rental house here in Manitoba, or a cabin, because here you get one piece of property as your principal residence, which I'm sure they'll come after too. They've already been talking about it. But so they inflate the price of your home by printing too much money, and then they charge you tax on that. So not only are you paying the tax of inflation, everything costs more, but you're paying for the would-be increase, the only thing that is actually saving you in these times. Realized and unrealized now. Oh, should drive more people to Bitcoin. I got you. Yeah. No, that's a great point. And I think that Bitcoin, honestly, not only is Bitcoin a better option in terms of the pension fund, like I said, if you're 20, 30, 40, even 50 or 60, like, stop paying into your pension. All you're doing is funding the system further. You're keeping it alive. But if you have to, if you're locked into it, I get that. So just make sure that you're allocating your portfolio to Bitcoin related companies. But yes, you're right. And the best thing that you can do, I think, the beauty of Bitcoin is that the majority of people, especially at this stage, they're going to be using it as like a savings vehicle. It's a cash, but it's also a store of value. So it's the best place to store your wealth, because if you never plan on selling it, you never have to pay tax on it, unless they start coming after the unrealized part. But that's where the non-KYC stuff will come in handy. But they don't want that. That's why they have the ETFs. That's why they're trying to KYC everybody and figure out how much Bitcoin they have, because that's probably their plan eventually, is to tax the unrealized gains. Imagine that. Imagine you go to Bitcoin because your government's printing too much money, and then they come out and say, actually, we're going to tax your unrealized Bitcoin gains. And the only reason the Bitcoin has gained is because we printed too much money, but you're going to pay tax on that. Completely backwards.